agenda.
You know, I was watching TV yesterday, and there's this other Sanlam ad with what's his face? Hot Sticks Mabus. Oh Jesus, I really love that ad.
Yes, that's pretty cool.
Oh.
I like it.
I haven't had to see where
I saw it over the weekend, last weekend. It's pretty cool.
Okay, what are we doing?
I like it for that.
Do you, boo boo?
Is that a way to live? Like, do you do your own thing? You go about, do your own, live your life as you see fit, and whatever. Is that a way to live?
Think about it like this. How many fewer wars, disagreements, and fights would we have if everybody agreed to live their life how they want and allow others to live their life how they want, as long as no one is hurting the other?
And stop sending freedom.
I don't think that's even possible.
Exactly, but what would be the repercussions of that?
There'll
The
be
reper-
multiple problems because some people just want to kill.
Yes. Now, the beauty of do you, boo boo, is
If you want to kill, I mean,
if you're going to kill,
There's
there's
some psychotic
consequences.
people.
You go to jail.
are they born psychotic?
Yes, you get psychotic people
Yes,
that are.
yeah.
You get children that actually start drawing about killing people since they were like
And
babies.
children
Most
who
of
kill
those
their
kids
parents
were
as well.
abused as children.
No, there are
Usually,
children.
psychosis is a deficiency in the mind. Therefore, has to come up something, or there has to be a deficiency in the way the mind grew up or matured for that psychosis to exist. If you look at it, they do a psychoanalysis of so many different people who are considered to be psychotic and crazy, and most of them have a history of trauma, childhood trauma, or abuse of some sort. Even drug addicts, they say that most drug addicts have childhood trauma or abuse, or they just weren't loved enough as children. Like I said, literally, care and touch, holding is vital for people. They did this study where they looked at kids who grew up under this new system of if the baby's crying, let it cry, it'll pacify itself, right? They found out that people who are raised with minimal human contact as kids grow up to be cold, callous, calculating people who only look out for themselves, because since childhood they've been told to look out for yourself. They're more prone to addiction. They're more prone to risky behavior, because that is what life is. People need connection. They did an experiment with the rats when they were trying to figure out what addiction is. They took a rat and they put it in a cage on its own, and they put 2 bottles of water. One was laced with cocaine or heroin, and the other one was clean. And they found that the rat drank the cocaine water until it died, until it overdosed, and it just kept drinking.
No, but
right?
wait.
And then they took rats and they put them in a place where they had ample company. They could have as much sex and food and warm and fun as they wanted. They had tunnels to play in, exercise, and they put 2 bottles of water, cocaine water and the normal water, right? And they found that 9 times out of 10, I don't know the numbers, but most of the time, no rat even touched the cocaine water. What does it tell you, right? When you have a nurturing, caring environment where people love you, you don't need the bad things, which is why we need to care for each other. I forgot the point. Where was I?
Wait. While you're thinking about your point, how do we know that the rat didn't taste the cocaine water first and we're like,
Even if it did, it didn't continue.
It didn't continue. Like they found that the rats that did use
No, I'm talking about the singular rat.
in the singular rat.
Yeah, because it's so nice. And it was around like, bona, group time.
Yeah, that's what they found. They found that the rats in the they call it rat heaven, right? The rats in rat heaven, right? Ended up. It's not like they never touched the cocaine water, right? But you know how people use cocaine recreationally? That's how they used it. None of the rats became addicted. You didn't find a rat that overdosed on cocaine or died because it didn't eat, it just drank, it just sipped on the cocaine water. Because it had family, and it had companionship, it had fun, it had food, it had a very well-nurtured environment, right? Even if it didn't sip the cocaine water, it didn't need the cocaine water. They found this out with veterans war veterans who came back from Vietnam. Apparently in Vietnam, a lot of the people fighting there were using heroin to cope with the stress. I mean, you're just a kid, they took you somewhere, now you have to kill someone or be killed. It's very stressful. A lot of them turned to drugs and heroin. And the people were worried, when they come back, we're going to have so many heroin fiends just roaming the streets everywhere. Sure. And they found that when they were taken out of that terrible environment, back into a family who loves them, back into someone to support them and care for them, when they had connection, right, with other humans, then they just stopped using heroin.
Sure.
There were no negative side effects, no terrible things. And you know why this is true? If you look at morphine, morphine is just very strong heroin. Very, very strong heroin. And when you go to the hospital, you're not worried that you're going to become an addict. Why? Because you have care and connection around you. You don't need the drug. Whereas someone who's a drug fiend, who's been abused, who's been left, who's been ditched, that was my point, right? Will create a crutch.
It's pain.
Right?
So do you boo-boo who need a crutch?
Do you boo-boo allows people to live happily with minimal or no judgment.
So you
If I am living my life, right, and I'm not judging you, you want to use swear words. It doesn't hurt me when you use swear words. You use your swear words, bruh. You cuss your lungs out. You swear until the cows come home. You swear, just do it, right? You're happy, I'm not hurt. It doesn't matter, right? And now I want to do my own thing. I want to lie, right? I want to lie. I want to lie a lot. There's consequences to lying, right? So if I get caught in the lie, I must just then be ready to deal with the consequences. People will trust me less.
Okay,
Yes.
but don't you think the do you boo-boo philosophy is going to clash?
With-
Because let's take the whole cussing thing, right?
Okay.
People that swear. And when someone swears when I'm around, I just feel like...
So what's going to happen?
Get
The
away, right?
consequence of that is you're not going to hang around with that person.
Like,
You see? Do you boo is now what do you boo tries to
I
fight?
cannot disconnect to someone that I'm close with because of that major thing.
Then it's not that
we
important
work
to you.
around, we work, like let's say I tell you, can you not swear around me?
Yeah.
I'm not judging you, I'm just saying, please do not swear
You see,
around me.
that's compromise. Do you boo is beautiful because it doesn't force compromise. Compromise is reached naturally between the two parties, right? If you look,
She
listen.
didn't finish her point.
Oh,
You're
finish your
wrong.
point, please.
I know I lost my point.
Oh,
What
No,
she's saying is,
continue.
unless there is a relationship between you and I cannot handle that. And if there are now 100 people swearing and I hate people that swear, I'm gonna react now.
yeah.
And you're provoking me to become very reactive, and it's not gonna be in a way, hey, please stop. No, it's gonna be, okay, so if I can do whatever, if they can do
Yeah,
whatever
I can
To-
do
now I'm
whatever.
gonna do
To
whatever they
continue
want.
your
Which is
point,
correct.
to continue your point, right? There are 100 people who like swearing. There is you who doesn't like swearing. We must stop 100 people from swearing because you might get angry. Is that fair? It's very selfish.
No,
But
I'm
it's
doing
not.
me. I'm doing me.
No, no,
They do
Yeah,
you.
if you
No.
have a right to do you, I have a right to do me too.
Let-
So as much as I'm
ladies,
respecting you
you
being
are
you, I
ignoring-
respect
it
you
wasn't
being
gonna
me.
continue.
You are ignoring the very fundamental basis of do you boo. Do you boo means you have to say the
You're
whole thing.
ignoring something.
I'm not ignoring-
She's not the only one who hates people that swear.
There's a lot of people. I know.
I
Do you
don't know
boo boo
how many-
means, right? Do you, but you will face the consequences. If you kill, you will go to jail. You will be prosecuted.
No, but they
If-
can't be those things.
If you punch someone,
You
huh?
can't say now you're gonna go to jail for doing you. If doing you means killing people.
No,
The
that's you see
essence-
now people confuse do you with there are no rules. There are always rules. So society
Sure.
needs rules. If there is a rule that says you shouldn't swear in this place and you swear, even if you're doing you must face the consequences of swearing.
Okay, I think
I'm just saying people must be free or feel free to act in the way they want to within the confines of the rules. If they choose to flout the rules, they must suffer the consequences of flouting the rules. My do you boo comes now against things like organized religion, because organized religion wants to tell you how to act, think, and behave. Right?
I think do you boo to some extent it brews a lot of greed and selfishness.
How?
Because now when a person thinks of only themselves, it's more of an inhuman thing because the other person's need is not catered for. And since we are humans and we are all connected, whatever I do has repercussions on her, on him, on you, on her, and him.
Can I just
So the do you boo concept seems very awesome. To some extent it works, right? But not in all cases.
You know
For
why?
instance, a mother cannot do her or herself, and
now,
the kids cannot do themselves
now,
alone.
please listen to the statement, right? You said it's a selfish thing to think, right?
Yes.
Do you, boo boo, not do me. I'm not saying do me. I'm not saying I'm gonna do me. I'm doing me, boo boo. No, that's not how you ever say it. I say do you. I'm saying I am going to live my life the way I want, right? You do the same. That is the most selfless thing you could ever do. I am going to do the things that make me happy. You do the things that make you happy. Do you boo boo comes from a thing of, I'm not going to say this is wrong for you to do. I can tell you I don't like it when you do this, and I can react to it according to how I'm going to react to it, or you're going to suffer the consequences of the things you're doing. But it's not do me, it's do you. I am saying I'm removing myself from the consequence, the calculation you need to make on deciding on what to do, right? That is the whole point of the movement, or the thinking behind it, of I am saying you are now free to act how you want without having to consider how I would feel about it. Now, that is the most selfless thing you could ever do, right? It seems a bit paradoxical, right? It does. It seems very paradoxical, but that's how complex humans are. We have this thing where I believe it's a sin for people to eat pork. When I see people eating pork, I want to control what they eat. They mustn't eat pork because I believe it's a sin to
Or they
eat
mustn't
pork.
make fun of midgets.
Or they mustn't make fun of midgets
Or
because
must make fun of dark people or skinny people,
Yes.
or whatever, even though those people don't have problems with
yes. Now that's not
Yeah, I'm just
Now picture a world where people weren't like that. You thought, I don't like pork. I don't like pork. I don't like how it tastes. I don't like how it feels. You love pork. Do you eat the pork? Right? Does it hurt me when you eat the pork? No.
Yeah, kind of does.
How does it hurt me
Because you
when
don't
you eat the
agree
pork?
with the person eating pork.
No, I don't like pork.
Does
Yeah.
it make or break
No,
your
look,
life
Does it
that
hurt
this
you?
person is eating pork?
Okay, look, even though this what I'm saying is do you boo boo can work to some extent,
It-
but not in all cases. Let's take the
Okay.
pork situation, right?
Yes.
Because now you're basing it on biblical terms, right?
Yes.
Fine. So the Bible says don't eat pork because it comes from a very filthy animal, blah, 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 right? So fine. Now I know why I don't eat pork. It's not that pork doesn't taste nice. It tastes good, but I don't eat it because of reason 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? And then you come in like, no, I eat pork, despite of what I know, right? Even though this is a do you boo boo concept, I'm like, okay, do you, but it kind of hurts me because I'm like, this person, like, we are
Walk
connected.
away. Yeah, but if you're a
We
well-rounded
connected.
adult,
I'm not
you're gonna
saying
be
don't
bothered.
eat pork. It's
Yeah.
more of a
The other person that
Why?
does eat pork, if you're a well-rounded adult who's gonna be bothered by an individual eating pork,
I do.
whether it's your brother, sister, or anybody, and if you're gonna be bothered by something like that, you're gonna have heart problems. Because there's a whole lot of things that are
okay.
gonna trouble you.
Okay, let's forget pork. Let's take that whole
You know what's a beautiful
Let's
example?
take the bitch
Sex
situation.
before marriage.
Nah, I don't want to use that one. Let's take the bitch situation. Okay, people are okay with classifying certain girls as bitches, right?
When you say bitch, are you talking about a bitch or a hoe?
No, because everyone just keeps throwing the bitch thing left, right, and center. Whether you're a bitch or not, whether you're a hoe or not, you are a bitch. Whether if you're being bossy, you're a bitch. Ish, oh, sorry. Yeah.
She just apologized to her maker.
Yeah, I did because I don't like swearing. So the do you boo boo concept is you being okay with calling, I guess it's doing you, right? So you're like, hey, Tehu, you, and I'm like, okay, it's a do you boo boo concept. I can't say that to you because I don't like saying it. Is the do you boo boo concept fair?
Here's the thing.
Because
right?
because
Now,
no, I'm not done. Wait.
Okay,
Because
I wanna
now,
respond.
because now it just seems like whatever we do affects someone else. There will always be repercussions. There will always be something good or something bad will happen. Either one or both happen at the same time, right? So I could take this do you boo boo concept in a more gentle way, like, okay, she just called me that word, do you boo boo. Again. Or I could be like, but this is offensive. I don't like that term.
So you should do you and tell her.
I'm doing me. Don't call me that. And you're like, I'm doing me too. I have a right to call you that.
No, that's not what do you means. You see, you
You
don't understand.
It's quite like I'm really confused right now because it sounds like it sounds like it's a diluted purge situation, but at the same time there's laws in that particular instance.
You see now, the human brain wants absolutes. We want absolute truth. We want absolute knowledge. And the fact of the matter is there is no absolute in this world. Do you boo boo is not an absolute. What you're looking at is, okay, you have the freedom to do whatever you want. Your freedom infringes my freedom because our freedoms must clash, right? And that is not what do you boo boo is. Do you boo boo is not a ticket to do as you please. Do not mistake it for that. Do you boo boo doesn't mean you can now go and do whatever you want because you're doing you. That is not what it means. What it means is, right, you have the right and the freedom to choose to do what you want to do. But it does not flout. Listen to the statement. Listen to the statement. Listen to the whole statement. It does not flout the consequences of your action. Example, I like calling people bitches. You're my bitch, you're my bitch. You don't like it when people call you a bitch. I do it because I'm doing me. You tell me, hey, I don't like it when you do that. Now I must decide, right? To do me means I must do things that make me happy, right? Or that satisfy me, right? What is more satisfying? Calling people bitch or being your friend? If being your friend is more satisfying, what am I going to do? Stop calling you a bitch because you don't like that, right? I'm going to respect you as a person because I want you in my life. That is where you apply. That is how you apply. People want this to be an absolute.
One last example. One last relevant example.
Yes.
Let's take the strike, for instance, the Monday strike, right?
Yes.
Sharp. So students were supposed to come back to school and study, I guess. And then still we had other demands that were not met, right? So then people, I can't say stroke, they strike. Yeah. Guys. So yeah, people continue with the strike. I guess. And while they continued, they disrupted other people from studying because they knew that when people study and other people strike, there's no much impact. I guess because we need numbers, right? So by them doing that, it actually helped everyone around, to some extent, because now students won't pay registration that are financially and able to blah 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 blah. But because if they couldn't have, if they didn't do that, right, we wouldn't have had these results. So the do you boo concept, I'm taking it from the students who are in the class. They're like, no, I'm doing me. We got to no increase. I can pay for my fees.
Yeah.
I get, I'm doing me, I'm done. Whatever's yours is yours. I get, so doesn't the do you boo thing become very unfair?
How?
Because now
I'm doing me by studying.
Yeah.
You are infringing on me by not letting me study.
Yeah.
Now you doing you
And
has
I'm
its
doing
consequences, and I'm doing me, and then there's consequences.
But me doing me is not as impactful as having him doing me together.
Pause.
No, because no. The thing is, it's actually one way. Because if he's studying and you're toy, you are gonna go to him and say,
Exactly.
So he's not gonna come to you and say, why are you guys striking? He's not gonna do that because you
but
guys
now,
are already aggressive.
Doesn't that show that he's selfish because he's doing himself? Because you are not studying, not because you don't want to, but because you can't afford to.
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying.
When do we put on that part?
Here's the thing, right? You want this philosophy to not be selfish because you've been, or I'm not going to say you exactly, but human beings will have this idea, this noble idea of a human being, what a human being must be. A human being must be the selfless being who cares for all others because we're such social animals. But here's the fact of the matter. The only reason we like living in a group is because it makes me safer. Human beings are fundamentally, at the heart of human beings, very, very selfish. It makes me safer. I tell myself it makes us safer, so I can sleep at night. That's the truth. The reason why you love someone is because of how they make you feel. It's not for them. You don't love someone for them.
Too. I like the fact that he's okay.
It's fine.
Because I'm okay.
That's the side effect.
You like the fact
that
you
he's
like the fact that he's okay. It's about you. Your life, you're the main character in your life, aren't you? Yes, it makes you very selfish. Who's to say you're the main character of life? You're not. You're probably some extra. You're a supporting cast.
I think this whole concept of, do you boo is very ironic. Or it's a paradox.
It's paradoxical.
Like you, at one point you have to have a moment to yourself to say, look, I'm being true to myself because I am my number one person in my life. That is the fact of the matter. Let's just be honest. If you were to stand in a room, there's someone pointing a gun at you and somebody else like that you love, and they said you guys have to talk amongst yourselves who's going to die. Will you say, yes, I'll do it? I will die for this person. Really? For real?
I promise you I would. Dude, not even the whole if you save.
I think I would like to be honest with myself and with you guys, and I'm going to say that is not going to happen.
Can I tell you, I even told my boyfriend that, dude, like, if it ever happens that we get robbed or something like that, and then someone has to die between, prefer to die. Not that I don't value my life, but I prefer saving your life and mine being gone. Not because I'm being selfless or anything, but I kind of feel not obligated, but that sense of protection for him. Oh, someone else.
I agree with that.
Yes.
I grew up like that. I've always put myself forward in times of danger than everyone else.
I also agree with
Look,
that.
in
I'd like to know.
situations, I'm talking about extreme case
I would
scenarios.
die. Like right now,
I do.
someone says, "Oh, one of you," I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay, look.
Can I just tell you something, right? Do you Woo covers the situation as well? Because
Oh,
right? Listen, right? The reason you would die for someone else is not for someone else. It's for yourself. It will make you feel better.
no.
No, make me feel better than I die for someone else.
Look,
No.
do you think if you jumped in front of a bullet for your boyfriend, right? Do you think that you would not move on?
What do you mean?
I mean, not jumped in front of,
Then
if
you would not
he
move
was
on.
killed, ne?
Mhm.
If he was killed, would you be able to move on with your life?
I don't
Not
think
fast,
so.
fast. Not
Yeah,
fast,
like,
fast.
can I tell you? Because
Obviously, we're not
No.
expecting you to
let me
be
tell you.
okay the
Okay,
next
let me
day.
make it like this, right? I prefer being a victim than the perpetrator. I don't like being the perpetrator because I find it very difficult to just not forgive myself, but me being the perpetrator. You'd rather hurt me than me
Yeah.
hurt you.
You see, but now you're
So
considering
if
your own feelings
I
above
want
all the
to-
other feelings.
I want to
No.
point.
No.
I want to point something
It's
like
all
the
about
point.
you.
The point that I was getting at is this: when you spend your entire life living for others or doing things for others, you lose yourself. Eventually, what they think, how they feel, everything will encompass how you live, and you cannot really be yourself because now every time you do something, you must constantly be thinking of other people.
But what if
That
that
is
is
my-
myself?
Yeah, exactly.
there
I
are
agree
certain
with
But what
you.
if
What if
that is part
yourself?
of myself?
If that is who you are, then that's who you are.
Then
right?
do you?
Then
Boo.
you. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's do you. But
When do we
compassion-
empathize
compassion-
with do you?
Look. At the end of the day, compassion has to have a ceiling. There must be a ceiling. At the end of the day, you cannot constantly go above and beyond for other people.
Yeah,
At some
individuality
point, you
is-
need to take care of yourself.
Yes.
You cannot constantly be throwing yourself at the edge of a cliff for other people in the name of compassion. It doesn't happen. At some point, you must be like, bruh, if you want to jump, by all means, go.
Bye-bye.
Like, it's okay. I need to fix whatever's happening with me.
Because
You can't always be at the forefront of danger, bruh. At some point, you need to take care of yourself.
Let me make it clear. It's not that we're putting ourselves in danger. It's more of I'd prefer, it's fine if I'm the sacrifice. Not because I'm fine if I'm the lamb in this situation, considering my family's in danger. It's okay for me to be the one that goes down and not them, right? But I'm not saying in every situation where someone is in trouble, I'm like, if someone speaks in class, I'm like, it's me. No, it's not me. I won't even raise my hand up.
That's where the
mentality.
whole,
Because that I had nothing to do with that.
that's what we're trying to figure out now.
Yeah, so
understand?
the
No,
do
but
you
then-
boo thing is
No, you know
what I'm saying
you know
is
what I-
it can work, but it gets unfair because then people become selfish and they don't empathize and they aren't even
Here's the thing.
compassionate to some
Okay.
extent.
Wait, let
I
Paul
thought we
speak
were
here.
jumping
He's been
into
quiet.
Okay,
yeah?
now I want to understand the type of person that you're with, that you see, right? So now, if they say we are shooting Paul, this is the guy you're dating, because Paul is
Paul.
actually, he told you this two days ago, but because you love him, you kept it among yourself. He told you that he's a rapist, a murderer, and he's done horrible things. He has bombed Afghanistan too many times to remember, and he will continue to do these things. But you love him, you know you love him, and that hasn't changed. But then they're about to kill him. Would you still take a bullet from him?
Yes.
Rushing through the
Wait,
streets
no, wait.
with my
Wait,
rose.
It's
can
a
I
yes
tell
or
you?
no
Pause.
question.
It's a yes or
It's a
no.
yes or no question. I feel like this one is a yes or no question. You
It's a
cannot
false
justify
dichotomy.
your way out of this
But
situation.
it's a different scenario though. Let's take for instance my boyfriend is
Eh,
a serial
wait,
rapist, right?
okay.
And then he gets well, they say for it there's a death penalty, whatnot, like because of his crimes. I will not die for him in that case. Because there's no reason for me to die for him. I'm not dying for him, even. I'm sacrificing myself for the better of him. I get. So basically, if he committed all these crimes, those are his faults that he has to pay for, right? I'm just saying, in a place where they say someone comes and robs us, we had nothing to do with that, right? And someone has to die, and they're like, we have to shoot someone. I'd volunteer myself. for the better of other people, not because of what they did, but because of what they couldn't do, whatever they're innocent on.
I just feel like if you do something like that,
If
you're
you're
kind
rapist,
of robbing,
go.
you're kind of robbing the world of your awesomeness, and that's wrong.
No, you know what the thing is, right? There's this idea, like I said, that human beings are so selfless, so great, so good. You know, we have this goodwill and this good nature, and the truth of the fact of the matter is, we're not. We're selfish. We're animals, and we want to survive. You want to live as long as you can.
I
right?
disagree.
And social society is brought us together. So obviously, when you're in a society, you must care for your society. Why is it okay for you to decide, okay, the people who live on that piece of land that is separated by that fence, they don't matter as much as the people on this side of the fence. So if we have to kill them, we must, right? And the only difference between you and that human is literally that fence, right? It's that easy, right? Patriotism. It happens all the time, right? Tribalism. Tribalism is not a do you boo. Patriotism is not a do you boo. Religious fighting is not a do you boo. Because if it was a do you boo, it was, oh, you come from another country, I come from another country. Exist, I will exist. That's what do you boo is. Do you boo is you exist, I exist, we exist, right? There will be infringements in this existing. Sometimes we will exist together, sometimes we will exist opposing.
But can you just admit
And
that to some extent the do you boo is
do-
unfair? It
to some
gets
extent,
very unfair.
to some extent, do you boo is unfair in the same way that religion is very unfair. It's unfair to
okay.
condemn someone's soul to hell because Jesus didn't get there in
but
time.
it can't.
Because
No,
he was
but-
born from the mistakes of other
Have you-
people.
it-
Can you guys just chill? I just said, can we
Wait,
not?
wait.
No, but it's an
You know?
example.
The thing is, you keep saying, do you boo is unfair, as if the world is fair, as if the world is supposed to be fair, as if
Doesn't it?
the world is fair, and the world is not
But
fair.
then you're a
It's very pessimistic.
And
Very
we-
much, and I'm
we-
very
And we
proud
are
of it.
optimists.
And you're an optimist, and I would like to tell you,
Wait, calm
when
down.
other people
Okay.
speak,
Kuluma.
as other human beings, the opposite of you would then be an optimist, correct? Most people choose to see. We know that the world is dark, sharp. We choose to find light where it's dark, because if you keep living like this, if you keep living like this, then life becomes really hard to live through. Because it's not like when we go home, there isn't darkness there,
Exactly.
right? But I mean, if I go home, if I have that mentality, oh my God, I'm going home, it's gonna be so this and this and that, it's gonna be really heavy to get through life.
Wait, can I just retort before you guys speak? Okay, I just want to say, right? Imagine two scenarios. There's two people, right? John and Jeff. John's an optimist. John wakes up in the morning and is like, today I'm gonna have a lovely day. I'm gonna succeed in the thing I want to succeed in. I'm gonna see the people I want to see. Traffic is gonna be amazing. And Jeff wakes up in the morning and
And
is
my
like,
glass is half full.
and my glass is half full, right? Jeff wakes up in the morning, damn it, my glass is half empty. He fills it, right? He goes out and he's like, oh, before he leaves, before he even gets in his car, man, traffic is gonna be terrible. It's gonna be the worst, you know? And I'm gonna get there and my boss is just gonna yak the whole day in my ear, right? And, you know, I'm probably gonna break my leg because I'm gonna fall down the stairs. And I'm gonna go to the doctor and they're gonna tell me I have a brain tumor, right? Now, John goes throughout his day, okay? He doesn't have the time to finish the thing he wanted to finish. Disappointment number one. He gets into a traffic accident, right? And then he has to go to the hospital. Disappointment number two, right? And number three. He comes home and they burgled his house, right? He thought he was gonna have the best day of his life. He didn't. He looked at his glass and it was half full, and it wasn't, right? Jeff, on the other hand, got into the car, drove to work. There was only one minor problem. He thought traffic was gonna be the worst. He's kind of happy, right? And he gets there, his boss is terrible to him like he expected. So he's not disappointed. He was expecting this. He was ready for it emotionally, right? Here's the thing about life. Misery is a situation where you were expecting one thing and you got the negative, right? Expectations. Pessimism is not saying everything is bad, we're all gonna die, and then sitting
It's
there.
a mental preparation.
It's a mental
for the
preparation for the worst. Pessimism is literally managing your expectations. I go into a test, I studied 3 hours, literally 3 hours for a test, right? With content of work where I was supposed to study 160 hours.
Sure.
What do I tell myself? I'm probably gonna fail. I write this, and I say this to someone else who has the same situation, say, no, I'm hopeful, I might pass, I might get this, the one thing I looked at might come through, we both right, we both fail. Who's more mentally prepared to deal with that? I am, because I was realistic with my expectations.
It's the truth, bro.
No.
Wait.
Look,
Yes.
yeah.
No, wait. First of all, because we are very positive does not mean we do not acknowledge the negative. We know that it might happen that someone in my family might die. We don't expect everything to be all hunky-dory, all happy, happy, happy. We know all these things exist and they hurt us. But because we're being optimistic, we're trying to think ahead and not let all of this affect us to a point where we lose our sanity, right? And yes, you can say that being pessimistic or being a realist, a pessimistic is being a realist because you point out the negative. What about pointing out the positive is also being real?
Here's the thing, there's 3 ways to live. Optimistically, pessimistically, and realistically, right? You can be,
Disagree with that. but-
Yeah, I also
you
disagree.
could be an optimist and say everything is awesome. You could be, yeah, I know, I didn't want to sing it, but yeah. And you could be a pessimist and say that, well, hey,
Shit happens.
no, not shit happens.
That is actually
The
the
realist
pessimist way.
says shit happens.
No.
The pessimist is like, look, no,
Can't it be
it's
real on
not.
both
Everything
ends?
is not awesome, bruh. Everything is not awesome.
But we know everything is not awesome. But the fact that we
Wait,
I'm
let
trying
us
to make
finish
a
our
point.
sentence.
Part.
Let her
I'm
finish
trying
her
to
point.
make a point. You cannot be optimistic or pessimistic about obvious things like death. Death is inevitable. Whether you're happy about it or not, it's going to happen. You need to prepare yourself.
So is traffic.
The being realistic is saying, look, death is inevitable, it's going to happen. Being pessimistic is death is bad. Being optimistic is, oh, you know, death. Yeah, it's gonna happen, but like not right now. So you're kind of shoving it in the back of your mind. I don't think living the life of an optimist is ideal, because I feel like you give yourself some sort of false sense of reality. I'm open to correction, but I'm just saying that, look, I don't see this optimist thing in the do what.
Please don't mistake him. I used to be a pessimistic person. Very, very the worst, probably the worst person to even talk to, because I was just negative about everything. There is a fine line between being a pessimist and a realist. And the difference is that when you're pessimistic, everything is just dark. It really is. And I used to be a pessimist, and studying, when I tell myself, I'm probably gonna fail, my aim was to fail. Because even though I'm reading whatever I'm reading, nothing was registering, because my attitude was, and the decision I had prepared myself for, was the reality I had prepared myself for is that failure is really close. And there's nothing I can do in this moment in time that can change that. I'm studying, yes, with the possibility of passing, but because I've decided that the reality is that I might fail, that was the energy. When I started changing recently, and I said, I used to criticize people who are optimistic. Optimistic people are not like hippies where they're like, oh, I'm so gullible, I'm naive. The world is just, it's rainbows and flowers. It's not rainbows and flowers. It's accepting that there is negativity in the world. But I'm not going to let that stop me from trying to change that reality in my life. And so with that, when I started being this, not optimistic, but adopting optimistic attitude, an optimistic attitude, when I told myself, for example, on Wednesday, that, listen, I'm exhausted, but I have the test at 5:30. I haven't studied, it's 10 a.m. What's gonna happen? As a pessimistic, the old me would have said, dude, listen, you're gonna read, but I'm gonna fail. But the fact that I told myself, Nikita, you have to push. And I pushed myself, and I covered everything, regardless of the pain I was feeling from the exhaustion and everything. Because what I was preparing myself for was success, regardless of the highest possibility of me failing that test.
Okay, like Nikki said, being an optimist doesn't mean we're hippies or we're naive or we don't see the bad that happens. Because, okay, what I've noticed is that pessimists always attack optimists. It's like there's this thing that they don't like about them, that we always have to be, oh, life is so horrible. Why can't it be that pessimism is as real as optimism? why can't it be that and leave it at that? Because if I see the light and you choose not to see the light, then fine, I agree with the do you boo-boo concept. But just because I decide to see Korwetiging, despite the fact that I haven't studied since 3 o'clock and I'm writing the next 2 hours, I'm not gonna fail, doesn't make me any better from someone that says they're gonna fail. It's a matter of attitude, and it's like the more we keep, I'm sorry, I'm against pessimism even though with this do you boo-boo thing, because it's very burdening. It may seem like it's a real thing and it's okay, but it's not comforting, it's not soothing. And I know someone's gonna say the truth, whatever, but yeah, I knew that was gonna be you. Yeah, but still, like the fact that you mentioned the whole mouse thing with someone not trying cocaine and whatnot, compare an optimist and a pessimist. Are you telling me that an optimistic person that is left alone with the cocaine and the water would not drink the cocaine, and the pessimist that has cocaine and water would drink the cocaine?
In defense of pessimism, right?
That's the topic now.
In defense of pessimism. Nikita said something very interesting. I'd rather be an optimist than a person who looks at life negatively, as if those are the only two options. Pessimism and a pessimist is not a negative person. You can be an optimist and be a negative person. A negative person is someone who looks at a situation and sees all the negative about it, right? Just like a negative person and a critic are different. A negative person will not enjoy it when you do things right, but they'll love it when you do things wrong, and they'll always tell you everything you're doing wrong. That is not a pessimist. A pessimist doesn't always go around and say, oh, I've got a nice phone, but that phone is nice, my life sucks. A pessimist doesn't go around saying, oh, look, there is one other car on the road, traffic is terrible. You know, a pessimist is not a negative person. A pessimist is a person who looks at life and says, things are pretty damn bad. Things could get pretty damn worse. Now, a pessimist, a normal human being pessimist, will look at that situation and say, things are pretty bad, but I'll continue to live. I will go on. I will make the best of what is here, right? A pessimist is someone who looks at a situation and sees what worse it could be. Sees what worse it could be. How you react then is determined more by your own personal characteristic than your outlook on life, whether it's bleak or it's sunny, right? I've known many an optimist who are a very negative person. They'll tell you, no, always look at the bright side, and then they would go out and do negative things. It doesn't matter where you're looking. What matters is how you act, right? You can be, like for example, with the school thing, right? You can realize, okay, I've got a semester test. Okay, it's in 3 hours. Okay, I've got 10 chapters to study. Realistically, it's impossible, right? As an optimist, you'd be like, no, let me just try. Maybe I'll make it, right? But as a pessimist, you'd be like, this is impossible. I can't do it. It can't be done. You go and you get a sick note. Then you have another chance. Or you look at your other options. Because how I feel about optimism is sometimes you're looking at the bright side so much. And have you ever realized what happens when you look into a bright light? You can't see anything else. You really can't see anything else. Have you ever driven in the dark with people brighten? You can't see the road. You can't see the lines on the road. You can't see where you're going, right? But if you're not only looking at the light, but you look at the bigger picture, right? You look at everything, right? Some people like to call that realism, but in all honesty, that is a combination of the two, which is why I believe we should really redefine some of the things, because we create these dichotomies. Like I said, people love absolutes. You're either absolutely optimistic or you're absolutely pessimistic. I'd like to believe I'm a pessimist because I look at the glass and I say, this glass is half empty. But I don't say this glass is half empty, the world is shit, we're all gonna die. I say this glass is half empty, let me fill it up if I want it to be full. Or this glass is half empty, let me finish off the drink if I want to finish off the drink, right? That is life. Life is not you are one or the other. Life is, look, this is happening, these are all the facts of what's happening. This is how I can choose to react, and this is how I'm going to react, right? And that is what a pessimist does. A pessimist looks at life, it's going badly like this, it's probably going to get worse. Let me go on living.
So what do you think optimists do?
An optimist, I wouldn't know. They look at life and they're like, things could get better. It's
said.
probably the same thing, just in reverse.
The glass is half full, but I can still fill it.
You can still fill it more.
Yeah.
Okay? Or you could empty it.
And
if
as
you want
much
it to
as
be
you use
empty.
that whole
What do you want the
idea
glass to
of when you look into the light too much, you end up
Mhm.
not seeing anything. Just like when you're looking in the dark, you don't see anything.
Actually, when you look in dark spaces, your eyes become stronger because you need to pick up on the little light there is.
We're not talking
But
about
there's
that
no
physics.
dark, there's
Wait.
nothing whatsoever. There's no, you can't see anything in the
No,
dark.
but then here's the
No,
thing.
but wait, what if
Here's
a
the
room
thing.
has nothing and it's just dark?
That's the thing. That means you are in a dark room. Even an optimist can't see light in that room. But if you're in a dark room and there's a little bit of light, it will be bright. You will see it. You will not miss it. As an pessimists don't miss the positive. They just choose not to focus on positives that aren't there, and they choose to manage that. Pessimism is basically expectation management, right?
So we don't
Like,
manage
that's
our
the way to
expectations.
put it, bro.
No.
Expectation management.
But we
Expectation
don't expect,
management.
we
You
don't,
do manage your expectations. You just
Exactly.
happen to inflate them slightly more. Don't you? Don't
Okay,
you? Don't you
yeah.
think the sun is gonna shine a lot more? You hope the sun is gonna shine. When the clouds come, you're disappointed. I know the clouds will come one day. When they come, I'm
No,
not
if the
disappointed.
clouds
I'm
are
ready.
there, like, whoa, the clouds are there.
Oh, darn it. The clouds are
Yay.
there.
You
No,
see, I don't
we
even have
don't
a
do that
dawn.
whole darn thing.
I
you
just,
guys.
for me, it's
So you
there's
see,
clouds.
you were talking about
I was expecting
this
clouds.
absolute thing,
Mm.
right? Because now you're making it seem like we want to be absolute optimists,
Okay, maybe.
which we aren't.
Yes, exactly. No one is an
Yeah.
absolute pessimist, and no one is an absolute
as much
optimist.
as much as if it's sunny and then the clouds come in, both optimist and thingy and a pessimist, I want to go, oh,
It's cloudy.
that's cloudy.
Mm.
It doesn't change. It's a matter of you going, oh, it's cloudy. Let me go get an umbrella. Oh no, oh it's cloudy. It's gonna rain. Let me just walk quickly. And I'm like, oh, it's gonna rain. Yay, kind of thing.
You see, and that's the difference is how
There shouldn't be a fight about it.
it's managing expectations. That's what I believe. I don't know about
Which both parties manage
do
their
both
expectations.
parties manage their expectations.
Yes, not
I've
the way,
met-
not.
I've met people who have no idea how to manage their expectations. There's this.
Don't you think
you
you,
know
get
about
those
Seneca?
naive optimists and naive pessimists?
Mhm. Oh, okay. But there's a Roman philosopher, Seneca, right? He's a Stoic, which is the branch of philosophy that I also follow, Stoicism. It's very complicated. I'm not going to get into it now. But he wrote on anger a lot, and he found that rich people were more prone to bouts of anger, right, than poorer people or people who are less well off. And he decided, or he just theorized that anger is a reaction to disappointment. That is what anger is. You are angry because you are disappointed that your expectations weren't met. And who has higher expectations than rich people? Who has higher expectations than optimists? People who look at
expectations than broke guys
and
like myself.
people who look at the bright side. You expect things to go well. You know, broke people have low expectations. You know,
Because
If-
they'll take whatever
they'll
happens.
take whatever
have,
they
yeah.
get. You know,
Better than
pessimists have low expectations. You expect to die. I expect to walk out that door and die. I'm expecting it. It's gonna happen. It might happen. If it doesn't happen, yay, I'm alive. Awesome. Or not awesome. Depends.
Yeah. On whether or
Positive
not
thought.
the plan was to stay alive.
A positive thought, to me, in my experience, has always been 10 times better than a negative thought because, well, with negativity, I feel like I'm just carrying a burden. It's just like, if I go in to write a test and I know that I might not pass, I
Yes.
still have that part of me that says, hey, we've seen it happen. This might just be your day, okay?
Being hopeful.
That actually happened to me.
And you're like, oh look, wow, I'm actually pretty smart, and I guess I was learning something, and actually it turned out to be fruitful. Same thing, I apply it everywhere. I apply it when I'm traveling. I apply it when I'm trying to get someone else's number. It just turns out, oh look, it's my lucky day.
Okay. As a closing thought, I'd like to say, Chelsea rules, Arsenal sucks. Yay,
Oh
Premier League.
my
Just look at
gosh.
the damn table. Look at the damn table.
Choose Jesus.
This is not your show. Please don't do this. It's really